Happy Monday, welcome back to The Rewind, where we go back and watch random episodes of Raw, SmackDown, WCW, Velocity, whatsoever. Today we have SmackDown, Season 4, Episode 38. Very fun card, honestly. I had a great time watching it. Wasn't really bored at all, so we'll get into it. SmackDown will kick off with a recap of last week, where we have the great wedding of Billy and Chuck. Turns out they were not actually gay. It was actually publicity stunt by Rico, their manager, and of course the officiant was none other than Eric Bischoff in disguise, and 3-minute warning would attack Billy and Chuck at their so-called wedding. The show would kick off with Rey Mysterio and Tori Wilson versus Jamie Noble, the Cruiserweight Champion, and Nydia. Tori and Nydia would start off the match in a cat-like brawl. And honestly, Tori would throw some moves on there. I was actually very surprised. She was very good. Nydia would tag in Jamie Noble, but Noble would grab Tori by the leg, try to, pull her back in. But she would, break out, tag in Ray, and hot tag, who just goes back and forth, taking out Noble. It was a very great back and forth. Ray would go for a pin. Nydia would break it up. I don't know why, but Ray would chase Nydia outside the ring, and he would run into a clothesline by Jamie Noble. Later in the match, Tori would hit a Bronco Buster on Nydia, but Taz would call it a Tomato Buster. Jamie Noble saw this and he was like, "Hey, do it to me, come on!" So he's just sitting on the corner and waiting for Tori to do it, but Rey Mysterio would end up doing the Bronco Buster. 619, then the Sunset Flip for the win. 3 stars, very fun. I had a great time with this match. Then we had a backstage segment with Paul Heyman hiring security for Brock Lesnar so Undertaker doesn't do anything. Also, they were waiting for Undertaker to come. He's still not at the show. In the ring, we have Stephanie McMahon and Billy and Chuck. They would show what happened last week on Raw, where Stephanie hired a bunch of women to do a female protest. They would come in the ring. Eric Bischoff would confront. One of the ladies happened to be Stephanie McMahon. She low blows him and confirms the match with 3-minute warning and Billy and Chuck. And if Stephanie's team wins, Eric will have to, kiss her ass. But if she loses, she has to go in the ring and do
hot lesbian action.
Kurt Angle would come out and confront Billy and Chuck, being like, "Why are you doing this publicity stunt?" And he just goes on to say stuff like,
"If you're trying to imply that I'm gay, well, I'm not. I don't have a problem with gays. In fact, gay people love me."
Stephanie then would confirm a match tonight, Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle versus Billy and Chuck, and Kurt Angle would say things such as,
"Steph, me team up with Benoit? Steph, that's a hard one to swallow. Oh, no, what I meant to say is, I'm going to be the one to throw your legs up over your head for the pinfall."
Also, Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit will be fighting at the next pay-per-view. Next up, the WWE Undisputed Champion Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman versus John Cena, a young, very John Cena. But Brock just plays with his food, and he keeps looking back at the stage, waiting for Undertaker. Cena tries to hit a crucifix, but Brock turns it into an F5 for the win. 1.5 star. It was alright. Next we had Edge Rikishi versus Eddie and Chavo Guerrero. It would be a 2-on-1 in the very beginning. Chavo and Eddie would try to take out Rikishi, but he was able to handle them both. Later on, Eddie would be tagged in, be working on Edge. Then a little multi-tag from Eddie and Chavo. Hot tag from Rikishi doing a 2-on-1. He was able to do a double suplex to both Chavo and Eddie. Chavo would get a sting face from Rikishi. Edge throws out Eddie, but ref is distracted by them. Chavo gets a camera from one of the cameramen and just knocks out Rikishi for the win. After the match, Eddie would grab a steel chair and just give a stiff chair shot to Edge. And he was busted open. It was gross. Another segment, we had Eric Bischoff and Stephanie McMahon. Both of them are really just pushing the damn
hot lesbian action.
I just don't get it. And then Stephanie says, "Oh, I might like it." Then we had Matt Hardy versus the Hurricane. Crowd was really chanting they want Jeff. I'm assuming this was around the time where Matt, broke off, or they drafted him to SmackDown, so he was doing the version 1 of Matt. Honestly, great back and forth between these two. Matt would throw a punch at the ref, and the ref would duck, he's scared, but from behind, he would low below Hurricane and hit a twist of fate for the win. 2-star match. It was fun. It was pretty good. For the main event, we had Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit versus Billy and Chuck. Start off, we had Chuck. He would be in control of Chris Benoit, and of course in the corner would be Kurt Angle just laughing at him. So after Chris was able to get out, he'd go up to his partner and just like slap him or push him and then tag him in pretty much. Billy would be in control of Kurt Angle for a little bit until Chris Benoit would come in and just clothesline Billy onto the outside. Billy would get dominated by both Chris and Kurt Angle with a lot of multi-tags, going back in and out. Hot tag Chuck, he would take out both Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle. Chris Benoit would break up Kurt Angle's angle lock, even though he wasn't even the legal man. They just didn't really like each other. Billy Gunn would Irish whip Chris Benoit to Chuck Palumbo for a super kick for the win. 2.5 stars. It was really fun. Great back and forth between all these 4 guys. After the match, Chris and Kurt would just start putting each other in their own finishers because teasing their match at the pay-per-view. To end the show, Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman go into the ring, calling out Undertaker. Guess he finally decides to show up at the end of the damn show. He comes out, they brawl. Matt Hardy comes out to save Brock Lesnar because apparently Matt Hardy pinned Undertaker last week. So Undertaker would just take out Matt Hardy, and Brock Lesnar was able to escape via a cop car. That was the end of the episode. It was fun. Had a great time. I'd recommend y'all go watch this one. Kurt Angle was just hilarious whenever he was on screen. And as always, until next Monday, we'll see you back on The Rewind.